Hey everybody, welcome back to Laptop Seniors. Today we're going to be talking about Colombia. We went to Colombia in February for a couple weeks to get a feel for, even though we personally weren't really going to retire there, but for you and for everybody who watches us, it's like, well, what would it be like to retire in Colombia? Tell you about that as we go along, because we're about to start to embark on a bunch of videos, like we usually do about Colombia, because we shot a ton of video there and found out a lot of things, and in the ensuing videos we're going to be going through them. But one thing kept coming up over and over and over again, including to the people that we talked to. And that thing was safety, obviously. Colombia, cartel, safety, history, all that sort of stuff. But it ends up being what this video is about, and that's safety in all countries around the world. And I'm going to go through a bunch of things. We're going to show you the safety indexes of countries, all countries in the world. We're going to list them so you can see which ones are stronger than the others. Now, a lot of it, like Colombia and a whole bunch of other different countries, Mexico would be another one, the country may be one score, but then inside the country, they'd be like, whoa, this is really bad, and this is really good, because the country's overall score, they're almost always an average. And we're going to tell you about the mistake that we made about Colombia, and it was a really big one. I really wish we made a different decision. I'll tell you what that is when we get to, around the end of the video, because it sort of makes sense to tell you it there. So let's start with the main question, and that is, how long does a society, the social fabric of a country, the people inside, how long does it take them in years or months to change their habits and change the way they think and change the way their moral thinking is to something that's different, that's safer? What I mean specifically about that is, if you're in a country with cartels and you're used to robbing people and well, that's okay, that's what we do here, or barging into a home, 2 or 3 people at once and trying to rob them, guns, killing, whatever. How long, when that sort of stops, the cartels are arrested and the government does the crackdown and all of that, how long does it actually take the society itself to move away from that thinking? You're going to have to deal with that as you look at countries, including cities in the U.S. Okay, is this ever going to change? What makes it change? What do you got to do? I mean, the one thing that comes to mind, then I'll get off this part and start going to the charts and things, is El Salvador. I mean, they turned that baby on a dime. I don't know, under 2 years. They went from the worst possible country in the world, other than literally being in a war zone, the most dangerous, to one of the safest in the entire world. They really didn't change the thinking of the country. They just took all the bad thinking and just threw them all into a maximum penitentiary and may never let them out. 60, 70,000 people, like if you were in the cartel or drug gang or whatever, if you knew people in it, if you had any ties to it, goodbye. Whew. And the only people who were left are people who thought, that it's not okay to just bang somebody over the head and take their purse. Okay? So, that's one way to do it. And, other countries, I think like Ecuador, that are right now copying what El Salvador did. So there's that. So as I mentioned, this is going to be all about safety around the world, safety certainly in Colombia and other countries where people retire. I'm kind of doing the research for you, and you can see it and go, oh, okay, got it. And we're also going to kind of give you a little feel for, in the upcoming videos that we're going to be doing, what Colombia was like and how we kept bouncing of, yeah, it'd be a good place. No, it wouldn't be a good place. Yeah, it would. No, it wouldn't. Yeah, and we'll let you know where we ended up, okay? How we got there. I'm going to show you a world map of safety. Every country on the planet's got a color on it. You can immediately see, whoa, don't want to go there, or hey, that looks pretty decent. Just to get a frame of reference, let's start here. So there's places around the world where to retire. I mean, it would be Europe, Thailand comes up a lot, Ecuador, Mexico, Colombia, Panama, and stuff like that. Okay, we all know that. This is a map of the world for safety. Red is bad, green is good. So, I mean, just take a look at the map and you get a feel pretty quickly for what's safe. I mean, if you look at South America here as an example, you got basically ones. Here, I'll show you. Like this is a one, okay? Level one, normal safety precautions. Basically, you're not walking in a back alley. Level two, you got to watch yourself a little bit, but still not a big deal. So if you just look at this side of the world, there's only one place, Venezuela, where you would have a problem. Colombia is a 2, pretty much all of South America is a 2, except for Argentina, which is a 1. Think of that for a second. How many people think Argentina, because of everything that's been going on there, would be like a 3 or a 4? But it's not. It's a 1. It's always been a 1. And it'll probably continue to be a 1 because that country is pulling out of things and doing really well now. But this is what I want to show you. Check this out. Panama, it's a 1. It's the same as the US or Canada or, the really good countries that are in Europe. Here, take a look at this. England, France, Spain, Netherlands, pretty much all of Europe really is a level 2 now because of what's going on there. That's no different than being down here. It all depends on where you are. Let's go into Asia because that's a big place where a lot of people retire, rightly so because it's cheap there. But what about the safety? Okay, China level 2, India 2. But here's where people retire. Thailand, no surprise there that it would be a 2. For the most part, pretty safe, but certain places can get out of, a little bit out of control sometimes. Laos, Vietnam, same thing. Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore, that's a 1. I mean, that's an amazing country. Indonesia's a 2. Let's just green Brunei. Let's go to Australia. It's a 1. New Zealand is a 1. So I show you the big map just to get a sense of what you may be thinking is safe or unsafe probably isn't actually what it is. Pretty cool map, but it's pretty general too because, you can't really tell, okay, like say it was some country was a 2. Is a 2 in England the same as a 2 in Colombia? Where do they actually rank and stuff? That's what we're going to go into right now. It's the literal scores of the countries. Now, there's 2 columns here. One is the crime index. Basically, this is how bad it is. And safety index is how good it is. You want a high number over here on this side. You want a low number on this side. You want low crime, high safety. Try to go through these quickly. I mean, nobody's going to be retiring in any of these, although you might consider Peru, in your mind, but then you look at this and you rule it out. Anything on this page? Argentina, number 20, 63 and 36. Ecuador right next to it, 62-37. Puerto Rico, Colombia, 60-39. El Salvador, 58-41. Bahamas, 56-43. France, 55-46. Not that far away from Guatemala and El Salvador and Paraguay. Costa Rica. Mexico is better than France. Uruguay, 52-48. Malaysia, even better, 48-51. UK, pretty much Malaysia is the same as the UK, 48-51. And close to Sweden and New Zealand. Let's keep going. Italy's not that far away from them either, or Canada. Albania is even safer. Look at number 88, Panama. And remember all the countries that we just passed that are not as safe as Panama. Turkey, pretty safe. Vietnam, even safer. Germany, Russia, safer. Spain. Portugal, safer still. These are not retirement places here. I don't think anybody's going to be retiring unless you live there and you retire in your own country, but you can see how safe they are. Now, I mentioned earlier that every country, logically, just like the United States, is going to have an average, whatever the average score of the country is. There's going to be really bad places to live, cities where, man, you don't want to be living there, versus one that it's like, it's super golden and super safe and all that stuff. So that's what this list is. And I'm going to highlight the cities where people typically go to retire. And a little spoiler alert, I'll just throw one out here. Chiang Mai, which was a surprise to me in Thailand. I knew it would be safe, but it is unbelievably safe. It's one of the safest cities on the planet, Chiang Mai. And there is a huge amount of people who retire in Thailand, in Chiang Mai. So we'll go through those cities right now. The worst place you can be is, I don't even know how to pronounce this, but in South Africa. And then Pretoria, South Africa. So on and so forth. Memphis, top 10. So, the U.S. is not immune to this either. Rio, Guayaquil in Ecuador, Detroit, Baltimore, Tijuana. I mean, these are not places that anyone normally would go, oh yeah, I'd like to retire there. New Orleans, Mexico City, number 33. Let's keep going. Buenos Aires, 52. Okay, Buenos Aires is safer than Philadelphia or Atlanta or Mexico City or San Juan, Puerto Rico. Let's keep going. Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Paris. Puebla, Mexico. Let's keep going. San Salvador and El Salvador is strong, right next to Jacksonville, Florida, or Montevideo, Uruguay, or Manchester, UK. I mean, just look at these. Look at these right in a row here. Or Nice, France, or Vegas, or Minneapolis. They're like minuscule amounts away for safety. Again, probably not what you would be thinking. Okay, so let me just keep going here and I'll just see if I can pick out places where people typically retire. Barcelona, looking pretty good. San Miguel Allende in Mexico, looking very nice. Pattaya, Thailand. Toronto, Vancouver. I mean, these are not places where you would be scared to go. Tirana, Albania. Better than Vancouver or Halifax or Toronto or Austin, Texas. So many people love Austin. It's safer to go to Albania. Bangkok, Thailand. Pretty nice. Okay, I'm looking for more retirement places on here as we scroll. Mallorca in Spain. Valencia in Spain. Puerto Vallarta. That's probably a surprise to a lot of people. When you think Mexico, you don't think necessarily safety. But Puerto Vallarta is a pretty safe town. Lisbon, even safer. Alicante, Spain, safe. Let me go right to the bottom here. Abu Dhabi, virtually no crime. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to lose my hands for stealing something. Chiang Mai in Thailand, big retirement community, virtually no crime. Now let's move to Colombia. These are the cities where most people retire to. Now, one thing just kind of want to point out, and you'll notice it if you're a tourist there, the brunt of people who come to Colombia, certainly as tourists, and one would assume also as retirees, and it'll make sense when you see the map, they are actually Central or South Americans themselves, okay? Like when you're a tourist, in say, Cartagena or Medellin, the brunt of tourists around you are not going to be from Canada and the US. A lot will be, and there's big expat communities there, but the brunt of people who go to Colombia are other South Americans. Maps are always helpful to get an idea of where you want to go in a country, whether it's in a city and seeing the actual sections of the city or, cities within a country. Here's the number one place that people retire in Colombia, Medellin. And they go there for a couple reasons. One is the weather. It's pretty much 24/7, 365 days a year, around 72, 75 degrees, day after day after day. Also, it has a really world-class healthcare facility, hospitals, doctors, things like that, and great infrastructure. It's a very modern city. I actually wonder if it was because of the Pablo Escobar stuff, back then in the day that, it's his city, so he was pumping money into it to make stuff great. I have no idea, but I wonder about it. One of the things that's kind of funny, when you're in Colombia and you walk around to gift shops and things like that, you see a lot of gifts and there's with pictures of Pablo Escobar. There's like a brand there, when you see his mugshot. It's kind of funny. Anyway, number 2 is Cartagena. Now, why would they go there? Well, obviously, it's on the beach. It's also kind of a cool city if you're in the walled city, which is this huge, giant fort with a wall around it and, condos in it and houses and stores and shops. UNESCO World Heritage Colonial Architecture Site. And, of course, the beaches, like I mentioned. Number 3, again, on the beach, is Santa Marta. You can see it out here. It's year-round warm weather. highs somewhere around 90, evening lows about 75 degrees, somewhere in that area. And it's also fairly reasonable for around $700, $750, $800 a month. You know, you can live really comfortably for your apartment, not for everything overall. Number 4 is Bogota. Why would people go there? Well, it's a metropolitan hub. It's a really huge city, very low cost compared to North America. Both Medellin and Bogota have medical tourism. It's a big thing for both of those cities because their healthcare is so good. The last 3 towns are Cali, Bucaramanga, and Pereira. Main reason people go to these places is they're small. It's definitely going to be, local Colombian as opposed to, some other city with, where you're leaning into expats. You're not going to have that. But they're all significantly cheaper to retire in and have a pretty decent life than even the bigger cities and certainly other countries. Pereira, to me, it seems like, again, we've never been there, but it sort of seems like it's going to kind of be like Boquete because the main thing around there is coffee plantations. You're in a coffee culture. They're in the Andean foothills, no extreme heat or cold, and again, low cost of living. Now that you've seen those, let's go through the actual crime stats and what actually happens crime-wise in those cities, the major cities. I'm going to skip the little towns, Cartagena, Bogota, and Medellin, and also a suburb, which, I've never seen it on anybody's videos or anybody's blogs, but there's a suburb in Medellin where that is super safe. This is Medellin. It's got a pretty overall high crime rate, but of course there's portions of the city, pretty large portions, which are very, very safe, and people retire there and have no problems at all. So, you need to be careful. In the scheme of things, of the major cities in Colombia, Medellin is the safest. This was a surprise for sure. It's in Medellin, it's one of the suburbs, and it butts up against Poblado, which is a very trendy, neat neighborhood there, very safe neighborhood, but this one is even safer. This is very safe. That was a total surprise. Here's Cartagena. Looking up at the top left-hand corner, crime index 51, safety index 48. And level of crime can be high. Again, much like Medellin and the other cities, it really depends on where you are. But this is an idea of what kind of crime there is and whether you really need to worry about it. And then we'll talk more about the sections of Cartagena where we were in another video. I'll just touch on it here a little bit in this video. But, certain areas, these numbers drop down considerably. Bogota, it's got a pretty high crime index of 66, safety index 33. You see a lot of highs on here for different types of crime. Retiring in Colombia, it will make you bounce back and forth like you're some sort of person in a pinball machine. Yeah, I love this. Ooh, no, I don't know. Hey, this is good. Yeah, that isn't. I don't know. Yes, I do. I don't know. Yes, I do. That's what ends up happening. And again, in the videos upcoming, we'll tell you where we ended up. But for this safety video, hope that helps just in general of, especially if you're thinking about retiring outside of North America, because most people will want to talk you out of it. But now you got some ammunition to point to and go like, hey, you know what? It's no better here than where we're going, or it's actually better where we're going. Again, like if you were going to Chiang Mai. Don't forget to subscribe. We're almost at 20,000 subscribers, which is amazing to us. So if we can make that, I think we're only a couple hundred people away. If you have not subscribed yet, super appreciate it if you do. And if you like this type of a video, which we really haven't done one that was specifically on numbers and things and doing research for people, not a whole lot of actually pretty videos inside it. If these are helpful to you, hit the like button. It would help us and go, okay, let's not do that again. Or, okay, we can do some more. So until the next video, when it will once again be Viv and I, thanks a lot for watching. Really appreciate it. See ya.